This is your chance to experience the NFL like never before. The Irish NFL show is touching down stateside, and we want you on the team. Explore iconic football towns: Chicago, Green Bay, New York, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and make memories with fellow Irish NFL fans on the trip of a lifetime. We've partnered with Bernard Hayes Travel, a trusted travel partner with over 30 years' experience. We look after everything: flights, accommodation, transfers, match tickets, social events, and everything in between. An unforgettable experience. Picture yourself in the stands at Soldier Field, Lambeau, or MetLife, roaring on your team. Register your interest today at irishnflshow.com/tours. Don't just watch the game, live it.
Of course, we couldn't have a broadcast without Connor's dulcet tones treating us, as we were also talking about earlier at the start of the broadcast about the trip that we will be doing. Make sure you go on irishnflshow.com/tours for details of that. And of course, talking about do's and drams and the great work we're doing with them. Our final segment, we're talking about Sunday Night Football here as the New England Patriots go up against the Baltimore Ravens. You know, my sleep schedule has been flexed now to try and affect this one. This game wasn't supposed to be given the NBC treatment, and now it is. I'll start in this one because all week I have had the Ravens in the win column for this one. I changed my mind this morning because I was just looking at a couple of different aspects of this, and is it harder over head? I'm not quite sure. But I thought that this is obviously the most difficult period of the season that the Patriots have gone through in terms of strength of opponent. Not saying much, but it is true. The Bills, I thought the Patriots had enough against the Bills, a team that they generally match up well against. But in the second half, the Bills turned on Superman mode and we've shown up a big weakness of the Patriots in that if you have an offense that has the passing attack and the rushing attack in tandem, there aren't enough individual playmakers in the defense to stop things and make a difference. They work well as a unit. There isn't an individual game changer. So that makes you think, okay, you have Lamar Jackson, you have Derrick Henry. The formula is there for the Ravens to go and push forward and try to keep things tight, to keep things dangerous, and to do exactly what the Patriots don't necessarily stand up well against. But there's two things about the way that the Ravens play, which makes me think that they mightn't have necessarily either the mentality, the look, or the ability to properly circumvent a Patriots team that will be coming in refocused after getting their first loss after winning 10 in a row before the bye week. Firstly, we remember the last primetime game they played against the Bengals. You know, they were the better team, but they let things slip because of boneheaded plays, bizarre turnovers, bizarre drop, a bizarre drop by Isaiah Likely. The last game they played against the Steelers, Ravens fans will bemoan some bad refereeing calls, which did not go their way. That's fair enough. But again, there was, it was a ridiculous moment when Isaiah Likely just, didn't let a pass be complete. There's some other areas of the game when you just let things slip, which you can't plan for, you can't legislate for. But Lamar Jackson seems to be just letting these crazy things happen against him. Then, of course, you go back to week one when they were playing also Sunday Night Football. When they played in a game they were clearly better than, but let one drop against the Bills. The Ravens just don't have, I don't think, the temerity to close out these games, which they really, really need to win against good teams. The Patriots, meanwhile, look, I think they got a big knock at their confidence, especially defensively, from the Bills on Sunday in Foxborough, and that one will sting. Where is the reaction coming from this team? You look at the leadership inside that group, I think we actually could see a good reaction. May is still wheeling and dealing. He's being able to rush in touchdowns, save the pass touchdowns. The Patriots have scored 24 points or more in 9 straight. And once the Ravens' rush defense is probably coming good at the right time, their offense just is not efficient enough. They're 2 of 7 on third down last week, even though they're playing against the Bengals, and they end up walking away with a pretty easy victory. So coming up against the Patriots, are they efficient enough? Are they going to last long enough without making a stupid mistake or something crazy happening, not in their favor against a Patriots team who will be physical, will be able to bring the offensive swagger? And look, let's be fair about this. Lamar Jackson isn't passing the ball. They're very much relying on the run game there. Derrick Henry's having to do a lot of the work. Lamar Jackson only attempted 12 passes last week, completed 8 of them, still managed to get sacked, I think, 3 times. That offense still hasn't clicked in a way that would make the Ravens as dangerous as you would normally anticipate. So for that reason, I'm going for the Patriots to win this one. But it really is a huge game. The Ravens are 3-point favorites, and probably for a reason. Brian, we go to you.
Shane. You're just striking all those favoritisms around. It's very clear that the fan in you is coming out. It's first of all, it's a great game. It's a great game for Sunday Night Football. It's a great game for people who are on their Christmas holidays. I can stay up late and watch this one on Sunday. It's rightly selected to be put in prime time. The Ravens are an intriguing proposition because it feels like last week was a get right game, or this is the turning point in their season. It's weird to say that because there's not many games left in the season, but based on what we've said earlier, coming into Sunday Night Football, they'll know the results from Motown, and on the basis that most people feel the Lions will have too much for the Steelers, it's all there for them. They win that game, they're tied in the AFC North. They're going to play the Steelers again, come the end of the season, and what a huge game that'll be. But this game then takes even more kind of significance for them. Yeah, I understand what you're saying on Lamar. He hasn't been thrown it effectively as maybe we may have seen in other years, and Flowers really hasn't stood out this year. Bateman's been inconsistent, and Derrick Henry, to a certain extent, hasn't really played at the level. And yeah, here they are, a couple of games out from potentially winning the division. And something strikes me that come Sunday, this is the game that gets them right on track to be a serious contender in the playoffs. Because if they win this, it's not just about them DNRG winning it. It's about beating a team that up to last week looked like they could be a serious contender to be a 1 seed. And I thought last week was the opportunity for the Patriots, and everyone's playing for them to have a 21-0 window and find a way to give the game away, essentially, as well as the Bills played. That for me was a bit concerning, and that strikes me. We talk about Josh Allen, we talk about Lamar Jackson, that same kind of conversation, and that kind of gives me that feeling that Lamar is going to have a big game on Sunday. Mark Andrews, tight end's been quiet of late. I think he could step up on Sunday when you really need him, and fortunately for Pats fans, it could be a long night, because I think the Ravens are on the right side. It's a Ravens victory for me.
Funny you're saying about it's a great late night game for people on their holidays. I'm at work Monday morning. Come on. And now I have to come into my last day of work before Christmas wreck tired. And will I be wreck tired after a Ravens win or a Patriots win, Ciaran?
You're lucky you got some of that time off. I'll be working all the way up. Here's a couple of things. I mean, we covered a lot already. For me, I mean, obviously that Pats capitulation in the second half has got to get them worried. I'm not overly worried about them, heading into the playoffs. I'm more looking towards this Ravens team, and I just think, and I'm not going to say that they're kind of hiding in the grass because they're the Ravens and they're perennial kind of, if not Super Bowl favorites, and they're definitely making the playoffs. And the last 5 years that they've had championship games, conference games, divisional games where they've fallen short. I think Monken is cooking up something. I don't know what it is. I just feel like this team they've just been treading water. And I know Lamar was out for a lot of the time. So it's just like they were going through the motions and just making sure that they kept everybody healthy as much as they could. Henry hasn't really lit up the place. I know he had a big game last week, but you still have people like Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. You got playmakers, Isaiah Likely. And Lamar is a weapon with his arm and his legs. But for me, it's the defense. I mean, this Ravens team, they play a huge amount of man. They play single high safety. We talk about the Chiefs defense with Spags a lot. I mean, this defense keeps people guessing too. I just like where the Ravens are right now. I think they're going to win the division ahead of the Steelers regardless. But I just like where they are right now, and I like them to win this game. A, it's in Baltimore. B, this is to all intents and purposes the playoffs starting right now for the Ravens because they haven't really got going. Lamar hasn't been around for a chunk of the season. This is the time to warm up. This is the time to start, looking at it like a 6-game season, a 7-game season, where it's basically win or go home. And that's that's the mindset that they're going to have. I know the offense has been sluggish lately, but I just, for some reason, I just feel like Monken is dialing something up. I feel like he's cooking something right now. And I'd be worried if I was playing the Ravens, not just the rest of the season, but even in the playoffs. I like where they're going right now. They're trending upwards for me, and I like them in this game. I like the Ravens. I think they're going to win at home.
It's interesting. Remember we were talking about the Bengals that, what the AFC doesn't want is for them to be led into the playoffs. If they did get into the playoffs, to be very dangerous. The Ravens are very much in that space now. A lot of the fans of other teams are looking around and be like, whatever we do, we just do not want to let the Ravens in because we're afraid of them. We're afraid of what they can do. And I agree with you guys. I think, Like the Ravens could end up having a lot cooking here. Just be interested whether this is the game that they bring it out or whether it comes later on in the season. The last game of the week is Monday Night Football. It's funny. I think Philip Rivers has got 10 kids and they're going to be waiting for Santa Claus, but Philip Rivers himself is going to be waiting for the man coming from Santa Clara as the 49ers go to Indianapolis on Monday Night Football. 49ers 6-point favorites here. Understandable. They have a well-coached defense, even though they're missing a lot of pieces. They are quietly, and this is maybe a strength of schedule thing, but quietly still in the running to top the division. By the time we'll be coming in to this game, they'll know what the story is when it comes to how the Rams. The Seahawks game is gone. Of course, we don't know what the story is here, but Ciaran, I mean, everything's there for the 49ers to go in and try to keep their season and try to bump their record as much as possible, even though many of us will be hoping that Old Man Rivers will be able to show up a good performance, as he did in fairness against one of the league's best defenses last week in Seattle. Under the prime time lights, anything can happen. What way do you see this one going?
Well, obviously the Rivers story is, it was great last week. Nobody saw that happening last week. Everyone thought the Seattle Seahawks would just put a beat down on them. But to his credit, that old magic kicked in. This is going to be a different proposition, though. I mean, this Niners team is they're just primed to, I talked about the Ravens a minute ago. This Niners team is getting everything back together again. Purdy's coming back. All the main weapons are coming back. Since week 5, they've converted a league high 40.6% of the third down. So that's the big difference. You see a lot of teams struggling to move the ball and struggling to get the ball downfield. But with the Niners, with the addition of Kittle and the rest of those guys coming back, it's just led to a more smooth kind of transition on offense. I know they've had a couple of easy games the last couple of weeks, and that's probably padded some stats, but they're trending in the right direction for me. And I think this Colts team coming in, I watched them 2 weeks ago. I watched them live capitulate against the Jags team, who were just feeling them out at the start. Devin Lloyd caught that pass, that interception from Jones, and that was it. The Colts kind of decided they weren't going to play that game in the rain. So Colts right now, I mean, with the way that the Texans are playing, you got to think the Colts are out of the running for the playoffs. And everything's looking better for this Niners team. Purdy last week he was great, 23 out of 30. I know it was the Titans, but still, you play who was put up against you. But I mean, it's for me, it's this Niners team is, I don't want to say lurking in the weeds again like the Ravens, but they're quietly putting stuff together too. This Colts team, while they still have Taylor and they still have a decent run D, I think the kind of deflating loss against the Jags and then obviously losing in the field goal to the Seahawks is taking the air out of their season, notwithstanding Jones going down too. I saw something about Richardson coming back on the bench. That's how desperate the situation is for quarterback in Indianapolis. I think it's going to be damage limitation. They're not going to say that they're keeping one eye on next season, but you have to think they're looking around. They've got a good nucleus. Again, I talked about the Panthers maybe maxing out. The Colts probably maxed out. Hell of a start. But with the injuries and time running out, I think it's going to be too much for them. The Niners, they're on the ascendancy. I know it's a road game for them, but I still like them to put up the numbers and to get this win. Colts, I just can't see it. It's going to be a Niners win for me.
Brian, we're going to see the Niners improve their record to 11-4.
Yeah, I believe so, Shane. If the Seahawks were to win the game on Thursday Night Football later this evening, and the Niners win out, the Niners will be the 1 seed. Like that's where we're at with this 49ers team. Like the permutations are very much there for them. I know they've got some difficult games, but I don't think this is probably the least difficult games with the 3 they've got left. Bear in mind, they've got the Bears at home, and then they got to play at home against the Seahawks in the final weekend of the season. Look, the Rivers thing was a great story last weekend. They didn't come out the right side of it. We've seen in the past where these little jumps that teams get from a particular player coming back from injury doesn't necessarily follow through until the next week, and people assume that'll be the case. I think ultimately on Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football?
Monday Night Football, yeah.
Beg your pardon. What we'll see is a 49ers defense that has really stepped up under Salah again. Like, you can see the same energy in which they're showing, even on the sideline after big plays, even last weekend against the poor Titans team. Salah's pumped, the players are pumped, they're very much bought into what he's brought back to the organization. And I noticed, like Luke is suggesting, that their defense is a bit of a question mark, and maybe if Jonathan Taylor can get up to speed. But Ciaran's called it out. Jonathan Taylor has regressed from what we've seen earlier in the season. And I think realistically, what we're seeing at the moment is a quarterback that can do game management at best. He's not going to be able to go toe-to-toe against this 49ers team. And I think Brock Purdy and Co will have a big night on Monday night, and the 49ers win and make things even more compelling for the last 2 weeks of the season. It's a big victory for me on Monday for the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm going for a victory for the 49ers as well, which of course will keep the NFC race nice and interesting for the rest of the season. Shout out, by the way, to Rory, Leisha and Luke for tuning in tonight and commenting. Great to see you guys engage with us. Thank you very much for listening. And thank to everybody who's listening to us on podcast form. We'll be back with an instant reaction on Sunday night as, of course, we lead into the last couple of weeks of the season. Who knows? The playoffs are just around the corner, but who's going to be there? Let's enjoy the drama from here on in and not wish our way into January. For now, thank you very much for listening to the Irish NFL Show.